Cockerel Doodle Doo, everyone. Welcome back to Tottenham on Tour for some wonderful Spurs YouTube paraphernalia. And we're joined by your favourite delinquents because Brian is looking after Miss Ilana. So we wish her all the best in her recovery from the old COVID. But we're here. We're here. We've got a great panel. We've got some great things to talk about. We've got some wonderful people in the audience. Yes, how are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm pretty good. I'm just very aggressively polishing my glasses here.
Polish your glasses at them. Polish your glasses at the audience.
That'll learn them. I'm doing well. How you doing?
That'll learn them. But great stuff. Amir Ahi, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right, Ben. I'm doing all right. I'm looking forward to Friday night. To be honest, I took my flight into London on Saturday. And since I touched the tarmac, I've been absolutely buzzing for Friday. So, hope we can have a little chat about that a bit later.
We can talk about that. We can talk about anything we like. That is the flow. And Mr. Lubin, how are you doing this morning, sir?
Very well, thanks. Morning panel, morning viewers.
Great stuff. Before we get into welcoming the chat, we do want to let you know that after this show premieres Rez's next episode of Rez Dissects here on Tottenham on Tour, where he is going to be going to the world famous salt factory and stealing some of their salt for your viewing pleasure. So please wait and see. Anything you want to talk about with your salt, your saltiness that you're stealing, Mr. Rez?
No, just premiering at 11 o'clock. I'll be in the chat to anyone who's watching. Do please tune in. Rez Dissects is still quite young. It's only the third episode, but I'm sort of getting into the flow of it now. And obviously, anyone who comes across any hot takes, idiotic statements, of which there are so many, and fancy me doing a little bit of a dissection on them, drop it in the comment section. Drop in the community section. Drop an email to info@tottenhamontour.com. And we'll see what we can do to make that happen. But yeah, do tune in 11 o'clock today for the old Rez Dissects episode 3.
But let's see in our wonderful.
If you're not a fan of what's it called, the Football Terrace, you'll enjoy this episode.
Yeah, great stuff. But even if you are, you'll still enjoy it because it's a laugh. We've got in our audience today Mr. Donny Rodriguez, Mr. Sweden. Swifty is calling Brian a Levy lover. I don't know why he's doing that. We've got Anir, who's Aniban, who's a very happy Chelsea fan this morning, and that makes us very sad. But well done. Hopefully you enjoy it. For now, we got Joris, good to see you. Sean Slater from the Pombos. We got David Shire, Cobber, good to see you, Cobber. Svarog, Donovan, Shemtang, Richard May, the Sheriff. We've got Fran, Atavacron Wembley 1. That's a comment we can choose for things. On your back, Scott, Graham Hill, Colin Cross, good to see you. Radiated, another Pombo. We got the Guardians of the Pombo, the chairman of the board, MG Heath, John Ellis Hall, Kate Rixham, Phil P. Woo! Good to see you, Derek Hutchinson. Bill, is it Rez or Ian number 3?
Ooh, it's an excellent question. Take away the comment and you'll see.
Whoa! We got Fran saying, am I feeling better? I've still got a bit of a sore throat, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, that's right. Thank you for asking. Donovan, Crossbones, the lovely Ren. And that is it. No, Brian. Brian is probably in bed still. So we are taking over the reins. There's chaos. Right. We're going to start with some wonderful laughs. Lothar Matthäus, Bayern Munich legend, has been speaking to many media outlets, but mostly on the Bayern Munich signing of Eric Dier. And it goes as follows. I remember Uli Hoeneß Bayern Munich's honorary president, saying, we won't be bringing in any players who are sitting on the bench at other clubs. The latest transfer looks good. And what's it called? Can't find it. But basically, long story short, Lothar Matthäus is Kim's spirit animal because he thinks Eric Dier is utter rubbish. But hilarious, isn't it, Rez? That we have done one over Bayern Munich, and now everyone is starting to see what you've been seeing for years.
It's delicious, to be honest. We knew this was we've known for years that Dier is not elite quality. Okay, he's not. I don't think it's his fault that it's not, right? I just think that his development was stunted because he was moved around so much. Didn't know what he was, didn't know if he was a centre back, a right back, a central midfielder. We didn't know, and because of that, he turned into a player that, is a jack of not very many trades and master of certainly none. Bayern, look, I am not privy to what goes on in transfer dealings, but from my perspective, this really does look like either a mate helping out another mate or a bloke feeling a little bit lonely in a new job and fancies his friend to be alongside him. That's what it smacks of to me, right? I think that Harry Kane was very involved in this transfer, not directly, but, had a very large influence on it. And that's what's happened because I don't see what Dier brings to the party in Munich, right? So I call Lothar Matthäus bang on with that one.
It's the heist of the century, isn't it? It's the heist of the century.
We even got a transfer fee out of it. Seriously, Daniel Levy saw Bayern coming. Really. Oh dear.
Oh
but
dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I don't wish Eric Dier any personal ill will, but thank goodness he's not at Spurs anymore and never will be again, except as maybe a spectator.
Absolutely. Amir, have you seen the comments written by Lothar Matthäus? Have you had a chance to look them over, dissect them, in the words of Tottenham on tour?
Well, do you know what? I haven't. I actually haven't. But, what you've summed up there from it, I think, a man like Lothar Matthäus, when he speaks about football, you've got to listen. Yeah. And look, when it comes to Eric Dier, I think he's one of these players that's lingered around our squad for maybe 3, 4, 5 seasons too long. And the miraculous sale to Bayern, I mean, the only way you can make any sense of it, right, is exactly what Rez said, is Harry Kane needs a mate. He's feeling lonely out in Germany. Everyone's speaking the Deutsch, and he's, got no one to speak to in English. And they've said, you know what? Who's your best mate at Spurs? He said, Mr. Eric Dier, and they've said, all right, let's go and get him, because he's not going to start in defence there, is he? Ahead of Upamecano, De Ligt, Kim Min-jae, all those guys, and he's not getting into that midfield.
Yeah.
So, what have they brought him in for, really, if not to be his golfing buddy?
The funniest comment was that he's hardly pulling up trees at Tottenham, wasn't he? He went full Cockney. He's hardly pulling up trees there, isn't it?
I think Dier was on 80 grand a week before he left, right? Yeah. So let's say Bayern give him that much. Essentially, what they've done is given Harry Kane an 80 grand a year pay rise, right?
Basically,
that's really what it is. But I think they were paying him like 350 grand a week when they signed him, something silly like that. So, what's another 80 grand to keep Kane happy? He is
actually. I think it's on 400.
400. There you go. Even if Bayern don't win the Bundesliga, he is going to smash that single season scoring record. And who wouldn't pay 80 grand a week for that? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Don't we have a friend with Bayern Munich next summer?
Shit.
Yes. I get to boo Eric. I'm going to that.
He's gonna turn up. He's gonna play and he's gonna score against us. That's what's gonna happen.
I don't care as I'm booing him the entire game. It's gonna be fantastic. Ian, what's your thoughts on the Lothar Matthäus comments?
I read the comments yesterday. You bring a new player in. Not too sure that's the best way to motivate him. I think Dier had a great season next to Dembele in 15-16 season. Mm-hmm. He was then ill. He had a debilitating illness. That sapped him and he lost a yard of pace because he got around that midfield very, very quickly, covering. And he was never the same player since. I think he probably realised that, and which is why he asked to drop back to centre-half, and he's never centre-half. For me, he was always a defensive midfield player. But the interesting thing is, if I can take the conversation on one step, is does Harry Kane have to leave Bayern Munich to win trophies?
I think he does.
Do you think he's looking at it thinking, I'd like to be at Spurs next season?
That was another comment. That was a paper that was released yesterday. I think it was a hyperbolic. I don't know who the two journalists were, but they were basically saying he's probably looking at Tottenham and feeling very jealous.
Yeah. Probably is.
Whilst Raz is talking to his conscience, we'll talk to Amir. What do you think? Do you think Harry Kane's going to be jealous of what he's seeing at Tottenham? Is he going to be homesick? What's your thoughts?
Do you know what? I don't know if he'd be jealous. Homesick, I think he will be, because when he sees the style of football that we're playing and he sees Richie banging in goals week in, week out, he's thinking, I could have had a field day here with this lot.
Yeah.
So I think he probably is a little bit homesick, and it's frustrating him to see Bayern, what are they, 8-9 points behind Leverkusen? Yeah. It's not
Seven
points. But they've got a game in hand. So call it 4.
Yeah, 4. It's not that bad,
It's not insurmountable, yeah.
Yeah, they can still catch him, and he's probably looking at that Champions League as well, thinking, we're gonna go for that. So, I don't know if he's jealous, but I can imagine him being a bit homesick and just thinking in that back of his mind, what could have been if he had stayed. But I'm of the ilk that, I'd say go and win everything with Bayern this season. Go win the Champions League, go win the Bundesliga, and come back to us as soon as you want, Harry, and come and break all the records and win some trophies with us. Because we all know that will mean, times a million for him than winning a few things with Bayern.
And Mr. Lubin, what do you think? Do you think Harry Kane is feeling slightly jealous of what he's seen, or do you think it's just hyperbolic comments from Tottenham?
Probably not. I think he's probably pleased at what's happening at Spurs, but I'm sure he's focused on Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Let's see what some of the chat. We've got a gifted membership from David Shire. Cheers, Cobber. Please feel free to get a membership. We will be doing member shows on the regular. We will not be doing one tonight because I'm not feeling too great. And having a member show means talking a lot. So it's very difficult to run 3 YouTube shows in a day. So we will be back when everything is more settled. Yeah, but please get your memberships in. It really helps us out a lot. And cheers, David, for giving us one. We have a comment from Bill saying Messi says Romero is the best defender in the world. Kane rates Dier. Even goats have shocking opinions. But you could say you like Timothy Atuba, Bill. Big up, Bill. Big up. Hopefully you're good. Yeah. It is what it is. Maybe Kane doesn't. Maybe Bayern Munich. Maybe Thomas Tuchel really likes Eric Dier for some stupid. Maybe he doesn't want Eric Dier. We don't know. We've not seen inside Harry Kane's brain. So what?
He might be better suited to the Bundesliga.
He might be. It's still a very aggressive league, though. I would have thought Eric Dier would be better in Portugal or Italy, where it's really slow.
Yeah.
And Kuva is saying Tuchel wanted to speak to the sporting director and said, get me Christoph Freund. And the club heard, Christ, a fraud. sign Dier. Good to hear, Cooves. Good to hear, Cooves. Here we go. He's saying his wife and kids are still in England, so he must be homesick. No, I don't think his kids are in England. I think they are in Munich. I think his family are there, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they've moved across now.
Yeah, they are there. So I don't know. Very happy at some buyback clause. Hopefully he comes home. I think you'll see Harry Kane back at Tottenham within a few years. I think that's a given.
Season after next.
Move on for Harry. It would be more than anything else, I reckon. Who knows? Mark is saying there are 400 reasons that Harry Kane is happy at Bayern. Bollocks, you got me. Yep, you can't. I'm not like I see all the chats. I see them all. Boxy, we're not talking about Emerson today.
I wanted to expound for many minutes on the beauty that is what I like to call the zebra. He is a zebra. I'm sure of it. There's some zebra in his ancestry. Have you seen him? Have you seen him with that sort of thing here? He's definitely a zebra.
I like it. Right. Kalvin Phillips has gone to West Ham United from Manchester City on a season-long loan till the end of the season. We're going to ask the people with chat, do you think this is an opportunity missed? I know the loan fee was a £6 million loan fee, or that's what the touted fee was. Have we missed out on Kalvin Phillips, Rez?
Well, again, it all boils down to, would he have been a useful addition to the squad for Ange? I think the issue with Kalvin Phillips is he did what a number of players have done in recent times, which is believe that when Man City come calling, they're suddenly going to be, the new Billy Big Bollocks at the Etihad. Unfortunately for Kalvin Phillips, the only reason that Man City bought him was because they didn't want other clubs to have him. That is the way they operate. It's what they do with Jack Grealish. We noticed that he seems to have disappeared again. I think he did his 4 appearances for the season and has gone on holiday. But this is what they do. And so with Kalvin Phillips, this is what happened to him. He should have stayed at Leeds a little bit longer, or waited for a serious club, a club that will treat him seriously. But what happened at Man City, because he went there, is that he wasn't getting first-team football. And every decent footballer wants first-team football. The big question becomes, would Tottenham have been able to offer him regular first-team football? And I think for me, the answer there is no. So whether or not we have missed out on him does boil down to whether or not we actually made an approach, and if we did, what we offered him. He's got a good skill set, and he's got something to offer. But I would also say it's not that great an opportunity missed. Yeah, he's a good player. He is a good player. Is it a massive loss that we didn't get him? No, not really. Not a massive loss. It's an opportunity loss. I think that there are other players that Ange will have identified, that the scouting network, the whole football thing that allegedly is being built, will have spotted, that could certainly make up for not getting Kalvin Phillips. He's not James Maddison class. James Maddison has transformed Tottenham, right? He's like the linchpin of the new way of playing, for instance. That's why we've had it so difficult since he became injured. Kalvin Phillips was never going to be that for us. An opportunity, I guess an opportunity lost, but not an insoluble one.
So I see it this way. He's the sort of player that we need at the football club. Someone that can pass the ball, and not just like Ange's football mostly has players that can pass really short. We don't have that guy like a Tom Huddleston type player who's going to stick his foot in, win the ball, and then launch it 30, 40 yards and hit it on a sixpence. That's something Kalvin Phillips is really great at. We'll go to Amir next. Have we missed an opportunity with Kalvin Phillips?
I think we have.
You think we have? Yeah. No, go ahead, Ian. Go ahead. I'll try.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think he is a better player than Højbjerg. We watched Phillips season before last. The reason he can't get in at City is he's got the best, number 6 in the world in front of him. So the guy's got no chance. So he definitely needs football. He needs minutes. He wants to get in the England Euro squad. West Ham's a great move for him because he is a straight replacement for Declan Rice. For me, it's an opportunity missed because, Basuma goes and gets himself suspended again. Having said that, you could play Saar at 6 or you could play Bentancur at 6. So he's not going to be a first teamer, but if you want a top squad to finish as high as possible, then you've got to have the best players in your squad. So yes,
I agree with that. But is he the best player that we could potentially get? That's the key. And there are, are there other areas that we could prioritize above midfield? Where they're not the best pick of the bunch, but we've still got a fair few central midfielders. I mean, Højbjerg didn't seem to go anywhere this window. Skip there was no noises that he was going to go. So getting another one in.
What happens if Mickey gets injured again? Well, there's your bigger problem. You've got plenty of midfield players.
Yeah, but what if? But that's the point. You need a defender, don't you? You need defensive cover.
Yeah.
And striker. We need someone else who can put the ball in the back of the net.
Wow. I'm going to bring up David Sinclair's comment that this screams that West Ham have got a really decent squad. Ward-Prowse and Kalvin Phillips in midfield. That's a good midfield.
Yeah,
that's a really decent midfield for West Ham. They're quietly building a very decent team, Amir, aren't they? And
they are.
Would you have got Kalvin Phillips in?
Well, here's the thing, right? I'm kind of in the middle between Ian and Rez on this one. I think he would improve the squad if you're looking at certain players there in our midfield.
Yeah,
but will he get in our first 11? No, he wouldn't. And he's not one for the future. It's not like you're buying a 19, 20-year-old that you're expecting a high ceiling. You know what he's going to bring, Phillips. So I think actually for all parties, West Ham is probably the best move for him because he's probably going to start there week in, week out, try and get back in that England squad. Whereas if he came to us, he wouldn't be starting week in, week out, and he might not get in the England squad. So I think it really is a 50-50 with him. He's a very decent player. I think the best we've seen of him is probably in an England shirt in those Euros where he really played out of his skin. Probably City was the wrong move for him. He hasn't pushed on from there. But I do just want to take the time to address what Alex was saying there about Emerson, Ben. He's come out and he said about Emerson, right? Alex, mate, you're coming on here and you're having a go at a player who's come into the team when our centre-backs have been out and he's played out of position and he's come in and done a fantastic job. So I don't get why you're coming on here and slating the lad. He always gives 100%. He's one of our most improved players alongside Porro. And, I think, all this Emerson kind of hate is it's a bit ridiculous, really, when he's come in and he's done such a good job out of position. Is he, going to be the best right back or centre back in the world? No. But is he going to be a great squad player for us and give his all and show a really positive attitude? He is. So that's just my take there on Mr. Emerson Royale.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think that's a fair comment. Emerson this season has not been the worst player, right? To be honest, I don't think any player has actually been awful.
Eric Dier.
Eric Dyer's barely played. He had played 4 games for us this season, right?
He's still been awful.
But other than that, every player's done
Yeah.
adequate, right? That doesn't mean to say they're brilliant. And we do need to upgrade in multiple areas. And one of those upgrades may well be Emerson Royale. But the issue here, what we see from certain hot takers is this idea that because player A is crap, they are completely incapable of doing anything, right? Thing that you got to remember, these are professional footballers. Even Emerson Royale is light years ahead of the ordinary person when it comes to athleticism, skill on the ball, stamina, all of those things, right? These are well-oiled machines of human beings, right? And so every player, even those that we hate, even Eric Dyer, right, has something potentially to offer. It's just about how you utilize them, right? And right now, there are so many other areas that need dealing with that Emerson Royale is not a priority.
No.
In the future, he might be, but right now he isn't. There are other areas of the pitch that need attention first. Yeah.
Spot on.
So let's just accept that Emerson Royale's going to be here for the rest of the season at least, and focus on other things. Yeah.
I do want to ask Alex.
Hold on. I'm sorry, Alex. No, again, you see what you're doing is taking what someone has said. This is what's known as a straw man argument. Yeah. To say, oh, should we get Harry Winks back then? No, it's not what we're saying. Yeah. We're saying the reality is this. There are other things to concentrate on. So wasting your energy on that is pointless, right? That's the only thing that's being said here. We don't have to rail on the players that we don't think are good enough. Yeah.
This is why I'm now going to put my foot down. It's like, please do not derail my show. If you want to come on the show, you can send me an email or you can send me a message. Or you can send a message that please don't go into my comment section. We've planned for this show. We've spent time on it. Please don't derail the show. It's not nice. I don't come into your chat. I don't go into any other's chat. Let's have a chill show. It's a morning show where we all have a coffee and we talk about football. Please do not derail the show. Right.
Zen. It's zen, you know?
That's what we're here for. Let's talk about other transfers. We hear a couple of things. We have a question from Bob Down Under saying, Gio seen smiling in training footage. Could we see Madders, Kulusevski, Solomon and Joe in the squad this Friday? We'll go to Ian first. What do you reckon?
Would be nice, wouldn't it? If they're all fit and they're all in the squad.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hell of a game Friday night. We need as many top players in the squad as possible. Be very happy to see that.
Yeah.
I could see him with Maddison possibly starting him as sub.
Yeah.
Because he's been out for since Chelsea. It's all 11 weeks, 12 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll see. Be interesting. Be interesting to see what team he picks. We'll see.
Amir, what's your thoughts?
Oh, if we've got all of those back, I'm going to be over the moon and going into this very, very, confident. I actually disagree with Ian. I think if Madders is fully fit and he started full training last week, I think there's a chance he might start, just because the impact that he can have against City, threading those balls through to Richie and our wingers, is going to be so vital.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see him start, to be honest, as long as it's not a risk, as long as it's not, endangering him or anything like that. With Solomon, he's been out a bit longer, so I think he'll probably be on the bench. I do fully expect Kulu to be back in the team after his illness. So, yeah, it really kind of leaves you with Werner on the left. But, yeah, nice to see that Gio's smiling and back in training. I just really hope that guy can stay fit to the rest of the season. I mean, that would be a miracle, wouldn't it?
And Reza, what do you think about this question?
Could we see Madders, Kulu, Solomon and Gio in the squad? In the squad, yeah, I can see all four. Maybe not Solomon. I can see Madders, Kulu and Gio in the squad. If you're asking whether or not they'll be in the first 11, difficult. Maddison returning would be just the shot in the arm that the squad needs right now, right?
Yeah.
Sort of mentality-wise, right? It would be lovely because look, it's obvious that Maddison has been one, even though he's missed. How many games has he missed now since Chelsea? Is it 9, 10 games he's missed, something like that?
Yeah. 10 games, 10
games, right? Even though he's missed 10 games, which is essentially about half of our season so far, right? He is still being mentioned by fans all over the place as the signing of the summer.
Yeah.
Right? Out of the entire transfer window. And I call them right on that, right? Can you imagine, right, the boost that'll give the entire squad, knowing that he's come back, right? Knowing that Kulu's coming back, knowing that even Gio is coming back, right? Knowing that just around the corner, you know, AFCON's going to finish, Asian Cup's going to finish, we're going to get everyone back and things are going to start ticking again, you know? Friday's key. I don't say that. I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, we're going to be flying high and Man City this and Man City that and, you know, Pep's hoodoo and all of that stuff. I'm making no prediction. If Maddison comes back as in the squad, I think that'd be a great thing. If I'm with Amir on this one. If he is fully fit and there's no risk to him, you start him. You start him because he makes us tick. Can you imagine Maddison's, you know, passing a few balls for Timo Werner to run at a defense onto, you know, with Richarlison bombing down the middle, and then Timo just cross, bang, Richarlison puts one in. You know, he can just spray balls right, left, and centre to the three in front of him. It's going to be beautiful to watch, you know, and that is the way that you have to go at Man City. You have to go at them because if you sit back, you give them too much respect, they'll eat you alive.
Yep.
You've either got to do two things. You've either got to go toe-to-toe with them and try and turn them, or you've got to do the Conte or Mourinho and put 10 men behind the ball and hit them on the break. It's what you've got to do. And we don't do either of those things. Before we get on to our next couple of things, we're going to talk about some transfers. We've got a super chat from Adrian Chia, Singaporean dollars, is saying, bit harsh to say Alex derailing the show. He loves Spurs. If you look at the title of the video, those are the things we're going to be talking about. If I have to pivot 90 degrees to talk about something else, that is derailing the show because we're talking about something that's not in the comment. We on Tottenham on Tour pride ourselves of not being clickbait merchants. If we talk about something that isn't in the title of the show, that is called clickbait. We're not here to clickbait. Those are the titles of the show. We're going to stick with those. If I have to address the chat, but thank you so much for your super chat, Adrian. It really helps us out a lot. Big up, mate. Big up.
Can I just make one point on this?
Yeah.
Can I make one point on this? Look, at the same time, we don't want to stifle discussions either. Yeah, it does very much depend on how it's done. I mean, Kuva's comment here really does sum it up. Yeah, you did come in quite strongly, Alex. Yeah, and if you come in and there's one discussion going on in the stream and you raise a completely different subject in the chat, what you're then doing is basically grabbing the attention of the chat away from what's being presented on the screen. So we may as well not even be here, right? So it's about finding the right time to raise something as well. You know, if you want to talk about Emerson Royale, that's absolutely fine. He's part of the Spurs squad. It's something that we talk about. And we don't want to stifle discussion. But at the same time, as Ben says, we put in the time. We're here to talk to people. And we have things that we do want to talk about specifically, yeah? So it's just about how you approach it a little bit, yeah? Have your opinion, argue your opinion, but maybe pick a time, you know?
Right, so we're going to talk transfers. And anyone that's got any transfers in the comment section, please put them in. We do love audience participation of things you like to see. But we've got some news from Callum Roach. I have not seen this personally, but he is saying Vermaelen is going to Atletico Madrid. It's a name that we have been touted with. This is a blow if he's gone to Atletico Madrid, isn't it, Ian?
He's a good player.
Yeah.
He's a good player, but you can't get every single player. So, you know, listen, the players that have come in have been superb. Yeah. You look at Vicario, Udogie, Maddison, Van der Ven. You've had Sarr coming through, Basuma coming through this year, Porro's down his feet. At some stage, there are going to be some top players that we're not going to get. I'm more bothered about Noosa getting that over the line, to be honest. And Atletico, we're in a market with 15, 20 big clubs. Some of those we can't compete with, and the rest of them we can, because Spurs is a big club. We're not one of the European heavyweights, but we're sort of the level below. So if he's gone to Atletico Madrid, okay, we've lost one. Let's just get Noosa.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on this, Amir, the Vermaelen signing? Or is there anyone else you want to talk about in terms of the transfer market that we could be going for?
Yeah, there's a couple actually, and I really agree with Ian. Players that the market is big out there, and you've got some monsters of football that are always gonna try and be battling you for every young talent. And saying that, there's a couple of players that I think we really should be looking at. One is Oscar Gloch, playing for Salzburg, only 19 years of age, already starting for Israel. He's got 2 feet, scores with both of them. I think he'd be the perfect replacement in the long run to someone like Gio, if he was to move on over the next couple of years. And I'd do a Udogi with him. I'd buy him now for what we can get him for, and loan him back to Salzburg. Let him get a taste for winning leagues, because I think they're top of the Austrian league. So, get him winning the league, get him that taste for trophies, and then bring him into the squad next season. I think he'd be a fantastic addition. Honestly, this kid is, he's technically unbelievable. So he's someone I think we should definitely be looking at. Another one is Jonathan Rowe from Norwich. I really like what he's doing in the Championship, and I think he's one that we should be looking at. I think that kid's got a really, really bright future wherever he goes.
Raza, you've got some stuff to plug.
We do. So as you know, we're in Tottenham on Tour 24, and we've got content coming at you. We've got new stuff coming. So I just thought we'd let the viewing several know what's coming up. Obviously, every morning, weekday, we got Cockerel Doodle Doo. But Saturday, we've got a very special Andrew. It's not a special Andrew management, it's just Andrew management. It'll be the fallout from the City game. God knows what everyone's mood is going to be like. But, if you do fancy it, do please join. We got Res Dissects today, 11 o'clock, do premiere. Do join us for the premiere on that. There's about an hour, time to get a cup of tea, have some breakfast, have a shave, something like that. And then you can sit down and watch me apply my scalpel to certain people. And then, next Wednesday as well, tune in, because we might have a deadline day special for you guys.
Whoa!
As well. Things are getting tasty on Tottenham on Tour. So, do please join us for any extra content. And as always, like, subscribe, and comment. That's what we want. That's what we need. We need the likes. We need the subscribes. We need the comments. Get the viewership up.
Get the blood pumping. Get the blood pumping.
Absolutely.
We have a couple of comments. Newcastle. People are starting to talk about FFP when it comes to Newcastle, because they are stifled. They are stifled. Is this what FFP was designed for? In regards to the new deal?
Yeah, I mean, it is supposed to be. I mean, it was flawed from the beginning, okay? Because they're coming for me.
They are.
It was flawed from the beginning, because the bigger clubs are the ones that will essentially still benefit, right? Because they will still have more spending power. But it was at the very least designed to be a shackle on the Jack Walkers, the Abramoviches, the Al Nahyans at City, from coming in and just basically pouring money into a club. So much so that City had to essentially cheat, to get that money pumped into that club. But the issue here, a lot of this is tied up with stuff like the Court for Arbitration for Sport. the idea that you can have a legal basis for what is ultimately an entertainment product, right? This is where it starts to break down. What FFP should have been a case of, okay, if you breach FFP, we just won't invite you to our competitions, right? Because ultimately, every competition, be it a European one, be it a domestic one, they're all by invitation. There is no automatic qualification for these things. Whoever gets, wins the championship this season is not automatically, going to be in the thing. What happens is the Premier League sends out invitations to 20 clubs and says, we would like you to be involved in our competition next season, right? And clubs can refuse even. So all of this is basically power wanting to protect what is a money-making enterprise. Sorry, 1 second.
Rez's conscience is talking.
Yeah.
You shall go to the Dagobah system, Rez. You shall meet Master Yoda.
No, you will go to the Dagobah system. There you will learn from Yoda. Anyway,
Rez is now Anakin.
Yeah. So the whole financial fair play, it's about basically to stop financial doping, okay? But financial doping has been going on willy-nilly, right? Maybe they've grown some balls now. Yeah, maybe now they've grown some balls, are going to actually enforce it. Yeah. But the key to it is this, right? What's needed is for the smaller clubs to turn around and say, fine, if you people up there are going to basically keep distorting the player market, if you're going to keep exerting influence that affects us, that puts us in financial jeopardy, essentially just leeching off us, fine, we'll go away and form our own federation. This is precisely how the Football Association actually started back in the 1880s, I think it was, 1860s, I think it was, right? A group of clubs said to the then authorities in football, right, it all involved around Scottish players, right? Because basically in Scotland, they professionalized the game already. So Scottish players were being paid to play football before they were in England. And 20 clubs, mostly in the Midlands, said to their FA then, you need to allow professionalism within the sport, which the FA would have resisted for a long time. The FA said, no, we don't want to. So these 20 clubs said, fine, if you don't, we're going to go off and form our own association and do what we want, right? And that's what needs to happen. The smaller clubs, the ones in the EFL, you need to get rid of the likes of Rick Parry, right, who's essentially a Premier League stooge, right? Get someone who will look after the interests of the smaller clubs to say, right, we need a clearing out, we need a new covenant, if you like, or a new discussion about how money works in football that benefits us just as much as the Sky Six, right? If you don't do that, we're going to split off from you. In the same way that those big six tried to split off from the Premier League to form the European Super League, or from UEFA, sorry, right? Small clubs need to do that as well. They've got to come together and say, we are the majority, we have the power, get in line, or you can fuck off. You can...
Bloody hell, Rez!
Didn't hear that.
We didn't hear it. No swearing happens on top.
Sorry.
Ian, what's your thoughts on the whole matter?
FFP?
Yeah? Transfers, all that stuff?
In principle, it's very good. You can't have... I mean, the teams in the Championship are all trying to get into the Premier League. I think their wages average 106% of turnover, which is ridiculous. Yeah. So, FFP was brought in to stop, to bring some order to clubs, to look after their finances. Yeah. And it's happening now. It has worked though, James. FFP has worked. When was the last Premier League club that went bust?
It was Portsmouth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Were they in the Premier League at the time?
They got put into administration, and that's what put them down. Yeah.
The one thing I'll say, Ian, Everton were in special measures last season. Yeah. So not that long ago.
Well, there's a perfect example with Everton. Of Mashiri's come in. Wants the world for Everton. Intentions are great. Knowledge of football not so good.
Zero.
And look where Everton are now.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's worked the way it was supposed to work. It was supposed to be, or the principle, what it was sold on was this idea that it would level the playing field a little bit, which it completely failed to do. That was my thing for it. It was a case of stop, because Abramovich was in the middle of his spending spree at that point as well. You know, you watched it with a look of this guy is utterly ruining football right now.
Yeah.
And he did. And then, you know, it was almost like Man City was the salt in the wound that Abramovich.
They were the symptom, weren't they? They were the symptom of what he created.
Yeah.
I think there are far bigger problems in football today
than
FFP. Well, let's start. You know, do you want to expand this subject? Let's talk about television. You know, calling the tune. Look at the way the fans are treated. Everybody during COVID was saying, you know, the grounds are awful. You know, there's no atmosphere, no fans. This is dreadful. Fans make the game, and look how they're treating fans.
All of that relates to the money that's swirling around the game.
Yeah, let's talk about VAR, which has been an absolute disaster.
Yep.
Let's talk about David Ellery, who's killing
you're gish galloping a little bit here. Can we do it one at a time? So VAR, right? I agree, has been atrocious, I think, but it's not been a disaster for football, right? Football is still going on. Money has the potential to screw football. The European Super League. It's all money that is the biggest problem in football right now. It did nothing else. As soon as Sky and the Premier League, the current Premier League, got together, that's when it all started to go really wrong. And it's all because they saw however many clubs there are, let's say 92 in the league, in which you have a captive audience that will buy from you no matter what. The parasites all saw an opportunity, right? We had them come in. They've come into Man United. They've come into Liverpool, the Fenway Sports Group, everywhere you look, because they know that the poor saps will go through the turnstiles every week. Yeah. Money is the problem, and FFP was supposed to be part of the cure. If it didn't cure it, then the biggest disease is still there. That's the key. I agree that there are problems with football, but the biggest one is money.
Before we get to Amir, because Amir hasn't had a chance to get on this topic, we have a super chat from Adrian Shear saying, big up, it's tough planning shows and talking pints. Big up, Adrian. Thank you so much for the super chat. We do want to plan these shows. We're really in Tottenham on tour with Rez coming on with Kim. We are massively changing the way we run things here. We are going to be a better quality, better content, and more of it as well, because there's going to be a lot more of us doing a lot more things, and it's going to be content that you guys, the fans of Tottenham on tour, the On-Tourian army, all deserve. So thank you so much. We're trying to plan. We're going to make Tottenham on tour as massive as we can be, and you're all coming along with us. So thank you so much. Amir,
before Amir goes on, can I just come back to Rez? Just one point.
Yeah, of course.
Biggest problem for me personally is VAR. We all go to football for that buzz, that adrenaline rush when we score a goal, and that has been killed by VAR.
Okay. But you take VAR out. But you take VAR out and it returns to what it was. That's why it's not a massive problem. It's something that's easily fixable. That just requires the will, which is being shown, I think. So many fans, pundits, everyone is criticizing it. It will either be fixed and made good again, or it will be destroyed. That'll come automatically. But the money, no one talks about that, or few people talk about it. You know?
Amir.
So I think Ben, you know, I think they're both right. For me, VAR has been, you know, a basket case from the start. I've only ever wanted goal line technology. I think that's my limit to it all. You know, so we don't have any Pedro Mendes incidents anymore in football. The VAR thing, you know, I'm with Ian. It really has killed the joy. You know, instead of
No.
Whereas if they were being drafted into the lower leagues and given the chance to get on the pitch and play, you're going to see players developing 16, 17, 18, 19, a lot quicker than what you're seeing today. So I think there are ways of balancing it out. It really does frustrate me, though, the whole FFP thing, right? You're seeing Everton and Forest being, punished. Well, what about City? What is happening with that? Why is this dragging out? I'm a football fan at the end of the day. Why do we have to sit through, 5-6 years of litigation and court, which is part of City's strategy, right? This was part of their strategy in the crazy spending, that they knew everything would be tied up with lawyers and courts and whatnot. So for me to say that FFP has worked, I want to see what happens to that.
Yeah.
Can I just, Ian, I don't want you to think that I'm disagreeing with you on the VAR thing, by the way. I also think it's absolute tripe. I think the key here is that VAR does not have the potential to destroy the sustainability of football, whereas the money flowing in it does. I think money is an existential threat to football, whereas VAR isn't. VAR won't destroy football. It will destroy the experience of it, but it can be taken away. The money is in the fabric of football, whereas VAR is just part of the pattern almost. That's for me is why it's the bigger threat. But I don't want you to think that I think VAR is good. No. I don't. It's utter shit. I hate it. I hate the way it's run.
The problem is with money, the genie's out the bottle now. You've got clubs, the big clubs are getting stronger. You've now got 8 group stage games next season in the Champions League.
Yeah, absolutely.
So listen, it could backfire because you could have, coming towards the end of the group stages, you could have meaningless matches, and fans will drop off, which will affect, the advertisers won't be happy. So that may be a backward step that they've done, but. How do you put the genie back in? With FFP, clubs can only spend X amount, a percentage of their revenue, which is in effect acts also indirectly as a wage cap.
Yeah. So there are ways. A lot of it stems, I think, from the will that we as fans show. Because, and I'm not having a pop at any individual person at all, but. If we just accept it, if we go down the Tina route, there is no alternative, that ultimately makes it self-defeating. We always have to remember that there are how many fans attend games every weekend, just in the Premier League, right? It's hundreds of thousands, right? Hundreds of thousands of people against, at our level, at the Premier League level, 20 chairmen. Right? All it would take would be fans around the country saying, do you know what? I'm going to delay my own gratification just for 1 week, right? It will never happen, but can you imagine, just hypothetically, that every single Premier League club fan decided, do you know what? I'm going to boycott the game. And you would have what you had at COVID, empty stadia all across the land, right? 10 games, 200 odd players, 250 players, all playing in front of an empty stadium. What would match of the day be like that day, right? We've got to have more imagination and actually believe in our own power a little bit more. That's what it all boils down to. because we're the majority. The game is ours. Football is ours. It's not the Premier League chairman's. It's ours, right?
You wouldn't think so, would you?
We should just say, I want what's mine. Give me back what's mine. You had no right to take it. That's what it would take. It's a big thing, but it's also a very small thing.
The supporters, I'm going to a supporters trust evening tonight, which should be interesting, where you've got journalists talking about, following Spurs. And I will bring up with them, again, talking about fans, is, you've got Man City coming down to Tottenham for an 8 o'clock kickoff on a Friday.
Yeah.
Newcastle going to Fulham on Saturday for a 7 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And the fans are treated like dirt by TV.
Yep.
It's dreadful,
Of course, absolutely.
They don't announce the fixture changes early enough.
Yeah, of course. You're right. Again, and look, it's not an easy thing. But the thing, there's something Donovan said that. Okay, no one's going to do that as there's too many tourists that find the stadium. Only for those people who sell their tickets. Yeah. Tottenham Hotspur, the tourists that come, they have all purchased tickets that have already been purchased. Yeah. General sale very rarely happens. So again, it's getting out of that it can't happen mindset. If you think it can't happen before you've even started, of course it's not going to happen. You've got to give yourself the courage to say, do you know what? I can make a difference.
Yeah, and there's precedent, Rez, isn't there? Look at the Super League when they tried to push that through. Everyone said, no, we're not having this. I can remember being out in Israel and the Israelis asking me, Amir, is this Super League thing going to happen? And, what's going on? I said, lads, there's not a chance. Get your head out of the sand. It's not happening. And we can still see people pushing for it. But, yeah, if you use that power of the hundreds of thousands of fans across the country, across the nation, you have a lot of power there. And I think it is time for people to realize that. And, if that happened with VAR, I would be absolutely delighted, because it does my nut in, week out. And I've just had enough of it. I feel like it's just created more jobs for people. And, that's going to be the real issue, right? Because you're going to have a lot of people losing their jobs if you take VAR away. But I think it's something that needs to be done for the betterment of the game.
Look at the price cap on away tickets. That came about through fan pressure.
Yes,
right? That's money oriented.
That was a great thing.
Yeah.
The thing about VAR is you've got a fourth official on the touchline. You put a screen there, let the referee come over. If the fourth official thinks he's missed something, let him have a quick look, and it's done. You don't need Stockley Park. It's complete overreaction.
Absolutely.
Nobody thinks about things properly.
No.
Unfortunately, in football, you look at the handball rule. It's just dreadful.
It's dreadful.
But the whole point of it is that VAR, the way it's instituted in football, is that it's there. It's not there to improve the game. It's not there to make things better for anyone except referees. Because for some reason, when it comes to football, referees are treated like demigods, like they can't be touched. And so VAR was brought in to protect them, right? They hold the levers. They make the decisions. It's basically there to stop them from getting the flack. Unfortunately, it's completely backfired on them, and they're getting more flack than they used to get when they make shit decisions. Rightly so as well.
What's happened is the referees have become lazy because they've got VAR to fall back on. And VAR is just another person making a subjective decision on a lot of these things. I mean, there are so many wrong decisions that are being highlighted. I mean, Hal Webb spends every week or two apologising to this club and that club. I'd much rather have refereeing making their decisions. All you need is a VAR, whether a ball's in, whether a player who's committed a foul or a handball, sort the handball rule out, make sure there's a penalty or not, and you've got goal line technology, which is brilliant.
And 50, if you've got a video assistant ref, 15 seconds. If you can't make a decision within 15 seconds, it's not a clear and obvious error.
Because the other issue is with VAR, where players are hanging around for 3 or 4 minutes, they're getting colds, hamstrings are getting pulled, muscles are getting pulled, and it's not good for players either. The whole thing is just a disaster. It's been brought in because they want to sanitise football. They want football to be looked on and decisions to be judged the way they do in tennis. Well, tennis, the ball's in the box, on the line, or it's not. It's simple as that.
Exactly.
It is black and white. And in football, is nothing like tennis.
They have the culture of the game, though, that it's almost like sportsmanship is held to a really high regard. And in football, we sort of glee. We talk about the word shithousery a lot. We're in quotes. Don't do me. We talk about that a lot. That look at him. We love it when he does it. We love it when he falls on the ball. We love it when he kicks him. Or we love tactical fouls. There is a culture in football that loves cheating. We when cheating happens against us, we hate it. Like I've seen so many streams that are going ballistic at Ivan Toney for moving the ball 2 inches.
Yeah.
And then other people are like, I love it. It's cheating. I love cheating. It's why Dick Dastardly is the favourite character in Wacky Races. No one's saying that Penelope Dixon is the favourite character. It's Dick Dastardly. Everyone loves the cheat. Everyone loves the naughty cheat. And that tennis and rugby and sports like that, cricket, sportsmanship is held to the highest regards, and we love that. We love the tribalism.
Because football is the rough game. You know, it's the game where it's about the will to win almost. I'm not saying the others aren't. The others, you have to have that in every sport, but it's where it's most at its most raw. You know. And that's a great thing about football. And the way, I mean, again, the way VAR is run, again, Beer, you'll listen to what I said, only if those fans who have tickets then sell them. Majority of people who attend games are season ticket holders or have had a ticket from a season ticket holder, right? Anyway, getting back to VAR, again, it's about those with power maintaining their power, right? This is why when I see Mike Dean in his stupid media personality blazer and polo neck get up, I want to punch the television, because I think this is a man who has ruined football, who has allowed his own venal, base, petty prejudices to damage other clubs, and is now being feted as some authority on the game. Mike Dean should have been consigned to the Midlands trash heap he came from the minute he retired, not put in charge of VAR, right?
Don't sit on the fence, Rose.
Tell us what you
we've got to treat these refs as the scum that they are.
No,
I say that genuinely, because they are not worthy of any respect until they earn it, but they expect it before they've done anything for it, right?
The days of Kalina are over, Rez. The days of people like Kalina are over.
Exactly.
Over.
Right? Get rid of PGMOL, remove their right to officiate games, set up a completely new federation that is not run for profit, that is not run for those things, run and overseen by a committee or a group of people like that, include fans and pundits and managers and players, so that when they do something wrong, their feet are held to the fire. Yeah,
hang on, Rez,
if you make a mistake like that, you go and get retrained. You don't officiate.
Hang on. I've got to take issue with you on this.
Go ahead.
Players make several mistakes every single match. They're human beings.
Well, of course.
So why are we holding referees to a higher standard than players?
Because referees are in charge of the game.
It doesn't make any different. They're there to do a job. Players are there to play the game.
Yeah, it does. It makes a massive difference. Because the thing about a referee is that they make decisions that will affect tens of thousands of people that weekend or that day, right? They have to be. I'm not saying that people aren't allowed to make mistakes. A genuine mistake is fine. But right now, because they're not held to account, they are free to make as many mistakes as they like.
Well, firstly, players' actions bring about referees' decisions. So it's horse before cart here, and so that's my point there. You know, if players didn't make mistakes, players didn't foul, Curtis Jones didn't go into Basuma with his studs, high up in the air, referees wouldn't have to make decisions like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. What point is it that you're making with that?
No, the point I'm making is that you're hammering refs for being poor, ineffective, making mistakes. Players make mistakes every single game. Players are on millions and millions a year. Referees are on 120 grand, I think, tops. For the top,
players have to answer to their managers. They have to report to the cameras after a game a lot of the time. What they do is overanalyzed and analyzed, and their value on the market is determined by those mistakes.
Tough life, earning the millions they do.
Hold on a sec, but the point is that, okay, in that case, you can judge referees with whatever standard you like. You can't say that one type of person has a standard and the other type of person can get a different standard. You either
but hang on. Referees get
a higher standard. I'm holding on to the same standard.
Referees get dropped down a division. They get left out of matches.
Right. And if a player doesn't perform, other clubs might not want to sign them. So their livelihood is put at stake. Referees don't.
Well, okay.
Do you know that a referee will get a £75,000 a year retainer, just for qualifying as a referee? What does a player have to do to get that?
What does a player have to do? Well, it's an unfair comparison.
And so is the idea that I'm holding referees to a different standard. They do a different function. Yeah.
You got to start, compare. If you're talking about efficiency of referees, compare them to referees in rugby. Compare them to umpires in cricket. If you're making comparisons about someone who
compare them, I don't need to compare them. Why should I have to compare them? I can apply an objective standard to someone. Look, when a doctor trains, they are expected to do their job very, very well, right? In the same way, they are remunerated for the training they go through. Referees are paid very, very well compared to the majority of people in the world. So they should be held to at least a high standard, right? It doesn't matter what standard players are held to. Referees should be held to their standards. The standards are you are expected to officiate a game with the minimum of mistakes and to do it impartially, without bias, and without, to use Howard Webb's words, seeking to influence the game. Those are Webb's words. Now tell me that those words are appropriate for a referee to say.
Final point on this, Ian and me. I do want to start wrapping. I want to wrap the show up here because we have been going for an hour and 10 minutes. It's not long before our next installment. Final words on this, and we will start wrapping up the show. Ian.
For me, no. Listen, I think by and large, we go berserk when referees make bad decisions, but at the end of the day, I've gone out on a pitch and refereed when a referee hasn't turned up for one of my son's matches. It's not easy. It really isn't easy. And the other difference is between 20 years ago and now is the game is so much faster. So much faster. And you've got referees who are refereeing up to the age of 47, I think it is now. And what 47-year-olds do you get playing in the top four divisions? Well, in tiers 3, 4, and 5 in the pyramid, you don't get people of that age. So, and without a referee, you haven't got a game.
So train them better.
Yes.
Okay, that's a different subject. But I don't believe in England that any of them are bent.
I didn't say they're bent.
No. Or influence or not impartial.
Ian, some of them are impartial, though. You got Mike Dean saying he didn't make a decision because he didn't want to hurt his mate who was on the pitch who had a nightmare. That's a joke. That's a farce. You know.
What about Craig Pawson when Spurs got, I think it was a late winner at the Etihad,
Man City, yeah,
right, against Man City, turning around and going, oh, even if he was impartial, he has to be trained well enough
and
to
be
not show that.
Yeah, be professional.
No, of course. That's wrong. That's wrong. They're not perfect. I'm not saying they're perfect.
Final comments on this, Amir.
Yeah, final thoughts is I agree with Ian. It's a very, very tough job. You know, you can look at decisions and you can go this way or that way, but I'm fully with Rez. I think, you know, the training needs to be way, way better. There needs to be accountability for refs. And I think since VAR's come in, I think the refereeing standard has actually dropped, you know, ridiculously. You look at the Calvert-Lewin sending off a few weeks ago. You look at so many decisions. You look at the, you know, we benefited from it, but the cock up with Liverpool, you know, that miscommunication in the VAR room or whatever. Something needs to be done. You're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry that can't sort out that part of the game. Surely more needs to be done.
Right.
Rez, final
if I had the physical ability, believe me, if I had the physical ability to do it, I'd go off and be a ref because, you know, I can make mistakes and I suffer no penalty for it. If I make mistakes at work, I suffer a penalty for it. Yeah. I'm going to be pulled up for disciplinary reasons. I could even get the sack. Right. Tell me a referee that was sacked, right, for making so many mistakes.
Referees are dropped down a division, Rez.
That's not a sacking. That's not a sacking. That's
guys,
not jeopardy.
It's a demotion. It's a demotion.
We're not here to have a million-year show. I want Rez to be a referee because then we'll have Kim singing the famous song they all sing at referees all the time, and I think that would be absolutely hilarious.
But I do look good in black, so it's got to happen.
Thank you all so much for watching today's show, guys. It's been a very entertaining, great debate. Always a calm debate, always a good time. We always like to have a chat. Amir, when can we next find you, sir?
Well, you can find me on here. Hopefully next week I'll be able to do a few Cockerel Doodle Doos. I'll also be over at the We Are Tottenham TV studio for the City match, so you can catch me over there. That's about it.
Ian, Mr. Lubin, when can we next find you, sir?
Well, again, like Amir, hopefully on here, also on Spaces and on Twitter at Lubo_61.
And Mr. Rez, talk about the show that will be debuting in 45 minutes. Not debuting,
45 minutes. Watch me apply Occam's razor to some people, I guess. I go in on the Football Terrace. So if you're a fan of the Football Terrace, come and watch and see if I'm talking bollocks. If you're not a fan of the Football Terrace, come and enjoy the show. So that's premiering at 11 o'clock. So anyone, do please come along. Please, everyone who's in the chat. I know that you've chatted with us all thing, but if you could drop us a comment in the actual comment section of this stream afterwards, if you just jump back into YouTube, you would be doing us a massive favor, because the algorithm loves comments. The algorithm loves likes. Please drop us a like. We're trying to grow the channel, and your efforts, really, it's you guys that will grow the channel. It's not us. We'll give you the content. We hope it's good, but the only way we'll know is by you telling us. So a little comment, even if you didn't like the show, if you didn't like what anyone was saying, do press the dislike button as well if you want. Okay, it's all good feedback and it really helps us. So if you can do that. Cockerel Doodle Doo tomorrow 9 a.m. We got Res Dissects at 11 o'clock today. And your management, I've forgotten the time on Saturday, going over the Man City game. Then more Cockerel Doodle Doo.
It'll be 9:30, I think.
9:30. Then more Cockerel Doodle Doo every weekday next week at 9 a.m. except for Wednesday, possibly, because we've got our transfer deadline day special going out. We'll give you more details on that over the next few days. Big love to you all. Thanks very much for joining us. And take it away, Mr. Kaufman.
Yep, and another reminder, if you haven't already, please subscribe to The Coffee Company. It would really help us all out on Tottenham on Tour. It would really help us. And it'd be great if you could sub to us. We talk loads of stuff there. But thank you all so much for watching this nice debate this morning. It's a calm, very measured debate, and we had a great time of it. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, if you smell what the cough is brewing, thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Ciao for now. Talk.